Good evening, everybody. It's Steve Lookner with Right Side Broadcasting. We are coming to you with tonight. We want to update you on this story about this missing Argentina submarine with 44 crew members on board that has not been heard from since Wednesday. There was some new information that came out later today that signals have been picked up from this submarine. A little bit of disagreement in the media whether this is good news or bad news that these signals have been detected. I guess it's better than nothing, but how to interpret these signals is an interesting question, and some difference of opinion on that. So we're going to look at that and just get you caught up here, and also take your comments on the air. So if you have comments while we're on the air, write into me on Twitter at Lookner, at Lookner. Thank you so much for the moderators who are in the chat room tonight with us, and chat rooms. We got in the YouTube chat, we got Guinevere and Jude are there. Hey, no JC. JC's doing something, I guess. Maybe JC will join us soon. And on the website, we have Common Sense and Glen O. Thank you for moderating. Thank you all for joining. So let's get into the details about this submarine. And as I said before, some signals have been picked up from the submarine, but there's some disagreement about how good of news it is that these signals have been picked up. So let's just take stock for a second and go over what we know about this submarine. And I'm going to start with a map there. So there's Argentina in South America. The submarine was supposed to be going from Patagonia, which is the southern tip of Argentina and Chile. So it was supposed to be going from Patagonia, the southern tip there, up to Mar del Plata. It was supposed to be making a patrol from Patagonia on the in the southern tip of Argentina to Mar del Plata. Somewhere in that journey, it has gone missing. On Wednesday was the last time they have heard from the submarine. I did see one of the articles I read, I think the New York Times article said that Argentina often uses its submarines for like drug patrols. Let me see if I can find this here. Let's see. Security. Here we go. Sorry, not drug patrols. Illegal fishing. I misremembered. So in the New York Times article, it says Argentina's 3 submarines are usually deployed to combat illegal fishing. Don't know if that's what this one is doing, but that's what they usually do. They usually are used to combat illegal fishing. And this submarine, it says, it was 240 nautical miles from the coast when it was last tracked. It was traveling from the Patagonian city of Ushuaia to Mar del Plata in Buenos Aires province, conducting a routine security patrol. So again, as we just saw on that map, it started out at the southern tip of Argentina and it was traveling north to Mar del Plata, and it just went missing. So what happened? What happened to this submarine? So some questions abound about this, but today 7 signals were detected from the submarine. Let me tell you a little bit about these signals that were detected. Where's a good, I had this one right here. So, as the Guardian article says, 7 failed satellite calls were detected. 7 failed satellite calls were detected on today. The 7 calls were all detected today. Now, the Argentina's defense ministry believes these calls could be from the submarine. But as I said before, there's some disagreement on what these calls might exactly mean about the submarine. But let's talk about the details here. The calls believed to be from the submarine's called the ARA San Juan. The ARA San Juan. The calls are believed to be the ARA San Juan. So we're going off of the Defense Ministry of Argentina. They believe these calls, I guess they're not 100% sure, but they believe these calls are from the submarine. They lasted between 4 seconds and 36 seconds, which suggests, according to the Defense Ministry, that the crew was trying to reestablish contact. The ministry said it was working on tracing the location with an unnamed U.S. company that specialized in satellite communications. So there were 7 attempted calls from between 4 seconds to 36 seconds today, which they believe to be from that submarine. I guess they can tell somehow that these calls were attempted, but they can't tell immediately where these calls came from. Now, this is a question here, though. Why were they making these satellite calls if it was from the submarine? Now, the Guardian article says it was not immediately clear what type of calls the vessel might have tried to make. But here's what they say. They say submarines that are stricken underwater can float a location beacon known as an emergency position indicator radio beacon, EPIRB, to the surface that can emit emergency signals via satellite. So one possibility for what these 7 satellite calls were that the Guardian raises is that the submarine is actually trapped underwater. It can't surface, and it sent up these emergency position indicator radio beacons, and when they hit the surface, they can emit satellite signals. So that's a possibility the Guardian raises, and that makes this sounds like not the greatest news if that's what those calls were, because if that's what the calls were, it sounds like the submarine's trapped underwater. However, I did see another article which seemed to be more positive on this. Let me just do a quick sound check here while I'm at it. So that's good, wonderful. You can hear me. So let me see if I can find the article that seems more positive. Was it this one? So the Defense Ministry said today, we received 7 signals from satellite calls that originated from the San Juan submarine. So actually this quote says they did originate from the submarine. The defense minister said on Twitter, we are working hard to locate it, and we are transmitting hope to the families of the 44 crew members that they'll soon be able to have them in their homes. Oh, yeah, and here we go. An Argentine Navy expert said, this changes everything. It's a very hopeful sign because it suggests at least several crew members are alive. Okay, so the idea is, I think, so on the one hand, it could be good news because, well, the good news part of it is that it shows the crew is alive if they're actually making these calls today. You know, there's a worry, I guess, because they haven't heard from anybody they haven't heard from the ship since Wednesday, so there's probably some wonder, did something catastrophic happen to the ship? But if they have 7 attempted satellite calls today, that means somebody on the ship is alive and sending those calls. And now this says, look at what this article says. This quote says, in order from a Navy expert and vice president of the Argentine Navy League, he says, in order to carry out the communications attempt, the submarine had to be close enough to the surface of the water to take out its antenna. So, as you can see, there's different accounts here. In the New York Times article, they have an expert saying, well, this had to be sent with the submarine's antenna. So the submarine must have been close to the surface. And then he says it should move along relatively quickly now. And he says the communication attempts as the first optimistic news. So that's what this one expert says. But I showed you in the Guardian article says it's not immediately clear what type of calls the vessel might have tried to make. And the possibility the Guardian article raises is that the vessel is stricken underwater and it was sending up a location beacon to send out a signal because it couldn't get to the surface. So in this article, it's raising the possibility that the submarine can't get to the surface. And in the New York Times article, they have an expert saying, well, it must be on the surface or near the surface to send out this signal. So it's a bit confusing. We have some different opinions on what kind of calls these satellite calls, what these satellite attempted calls say about what's going on with that submarine. So that is a point of disagreement right now. And I saw another piece of news I want to show you, which is a bit concerning. If I can find it here. Here we go. I just saw this. I hadn't seen this anywhere before. I just tweeted out about it. The Guardian article says, a search of 80% of the sea surface area where the submarine is believed to have disappeared has been completed, according to naval authorities. So they have supposedly searched the surface of 80% of the area where they figure that the submarine would be if it is on the surface. Now, they don't know it's on the surface. But however, the protocol for these submarines is when they're out of contact for this long, they are supposed to come to the surface. Let me see if I can find that. Some of the articles mention that protocol. Can I find it quickly for you? I don't know if this article mentions it. Here, no, that's not it. That's not it. Does this one mention it? Here we go. The Argentine Navy said its protocol is to surface if there's a communications blackout. So if the submarine is operating and it, say the actual, the mechanism which carries it through, all the mechanics are off, mechanical stuff is operating fine, and the submarine can surface and it can go down and it can transport itself. If all that stuff is working, but somehow the communications have gone out, like maybe there was a power failure or something, although I don't know if there was a power failure, could the communications go out without the submarine navigation going out and the engine going out? But anyways, let's just assume that the submarine itself is moving fine, but it can't communicate because of some sort of communications failure. The protocol is to go to the surface. That's the protocol. That's what they're supposed to do. So what they're doing now is they're looking on the surface because I guess they figure, well, if they're not able to communicate, they're supposed to come up to the surface. But as we just saw from the Guardian article, they've searched 80% of the sea surface area, and they haven't found where the submarine is believed to have been completed, where the submarine is believed to be if it had surfaced and is on the surface right now, and they haven't found the submarine yet. Just so you know, in addition to Argentine resources, there's a NASA plane there. There's some sort of U.S. I don't know, is it a Navy plane? I have to look this up. And there's also British resources there. Governments of Britain, Chile, and the United States have all offered aid. I saw a mention of what exact planes were there. Let's see if I can find it. Here we go. A U.S. Navy aircraft, a NASA airplane, and a British Royal Navy ice patrol ship on Saturday joined the search for the missing submarine, the ARA San Juan. So a lot of resources looking, but they haven't found it on the surface yet. And there is this other possibility that somehow they're trapped below the surface. And one of these articles raised, it talked about a couple of other incidents where submarines have just all of a sudden sank. And I want to talk about those for a second. So this again is Right Side Broadcasting. We're talking about this missing Argentine sub. We're going to get to your comments shortly. So if you have any comments on this story, write to me on Twitter. Maybe some of you have experience with submarines. But even if you don't, let me know what you're thinking about this. At Lookner on Twitter. You can write me at Lookner with comments or questions. Also, I forgot to thank Christine Bestien made a donation. I saw that roll by, and I hope I didn't miss another one. But Christine said, "May God bring these sailors home safely." Thank you. I'm agreed with you. We are agreed with you, Christine. And we do appreciate the donations. We are viewer supported. So your support with donations helps us be able to come on the air and do a whole stream on the missing Argentina sub. So if you like our broadcasts, you can always, in addition to subscribing to us on YouTube and clicking the notifications bell so you get notified of the broadcast, you can help us stay on the air to produce more broadcasts by donating. You can donate by going to the bottom of the YouTube chat room and clicking on the $ at the bottom of the YouTube chat, or go to rsbn.tv/donate, rsbn.tv/donate. So as I was mentioning, one of these articles was mentioning, I think it was the Washington Post article, was mentioning some past cases where submarines had suddenly kind of disappeared. This was interesting. I didn't know about this one. So it says, first of all, it says here, over the years, several submarines have vanished, often igniting mysteries that lasted for decades. Now check this one out. I didn't know about this. On May 27th, 1968, the USS Scorpion failed to return to port, unexplainedly sinking 11,220 feet, about 2 miles, beneath the Atlantic Ocean, along with its 99 crewmen and 2 nuclear torpedoes, according to USA Today. A Navy inquiry found that the cause of the sinking cannot be definitively ascertained, and the cause of the sub's demise still remains fuzzy decades later. So this U.S. submarine sank in 1968. It killed 99 crewmen. It had 2 nuclear torpedoes on it. To this day, there's still disagreement about why it sank. And the following paragraph says, Theories abound, of course. A torpedo self-fired into the ship, destroying it from the inside, or a battery exploded, inflicting critical damage. The Navy has routinely tested the water around the ship for radioactivity, according to USA Today, but has denied a proposal by civilian marine disaster experts to investigate the wreckage. So I didn't know about this whole Uss Scorpion thing. I kind of wanted to just do a Google search of it here. I'm guessing there's like a Wikipedia article on it. So the USS Scorpion was a nuclear submarine of the U.S. Navy. It was lost on May 22nd, 1968, with 99 crewmen dying. It is one of 4 mysterious submarine disappearances in 1968. So it's still mysterious. They still don't know exactly why this happened. So that's one example of this kind of thing happening. And then this, I didn't know about this either. Another example of a submarine which kind of just disappeared all of a sudden was in August 2000, the Russian nuclear submarine Kursk suddenly sank during a planned and closely monitored Russian military exercise, killing all 188 sailors aboard. According to the New York Times, who said this, it was hours before the Russian government even knew something was amiss. The most likely explanation was that fuel in a torpedo detonated, setting off a chain reaction in a sub once deemed unsinkable. The Russians have said that the Kursk used an outdated and unstable hydrogen peroxide propellant. And this is really kind of sad here. Conspiracy theories abound, and at least one real-life horror story was verified. Not all of the Russian sailors died in the initial blast, according to the New York Times. For hours, some fought fruitlessly to survive. And they have a message here that was sent out or written, I guess, from somebody on that Russian ship, that doomed Russian ship. 1315, Lieutenant Captain Dmitry Kolosenko, the commander of the turbine room, wrote, noting the military time. All personnel from compartments 6, 7, and 8 moved to the 9th. There are 23 of us here. We have made this decision as a result of the accident. None of us can get out. So when he wrote that, it looks like a lot of the people on that Russian sub had died back in the year 2000, and there were some of them still left, and they probably knew they were doomed. So it's really terrible scene. So hopefully something like this is not going on with this Argentinian submarine. Hopefully it hasn't sank and it isn't trapped underwater. Hopefully there's some sort of communications outage where it just can't communicate. However, if that's the case, it is supposed to go to the surface, and they've supposedly searched 80% of the surface where they think the submarine would be, and they haven't found it yet. Now, I did read that there were very high waves in the area, and that could be hampering the search or making it harder to find them. Where did I see that? I think it said 6-meter waves. Well, I can't find it right now, but I believe I read 6-meter waves. But anyways, there are very high waves right now over the last day or so that I saw mentioned, and that was hampering the search. Let's see if I can find how high are those waves. Well, can't find it. Well, you can Google it if you want. Anyways, I want to get to some of your comments on this. Write to me if you have thoughts. What do you think is going on with this submarine? Do you have any thoughts on this? Maybe some of you have experience with this kind of thing. Let me know at Lookner on Twitter, at LOOKNER. And don't forget, subscribe to Right Side Broadcasting and click the notifications bell when you do. Also, we love when you share our videos on Facebook and like them on YouTube. That spreads the word about Right Side. So if you like the video, share it on Facebook and like it on YouTube. Thanks again to the moderators, by the way, for working so hard tonight. But they work hard all the time for us. JC, you made it. Welcome, JC. Okay, let's see if anybody has written in so far. PCE says, oh no, prayers for all. Heinrich Medau wrote, Argentina has submarines? They have 3 of them, I believe. We saw this in the New York Times article said, where does it say it here? Yes, right here at the bottom. Argentina's 3 submarines are usually deployed to combat illegal fishing. If you have comments on the story, thoughts on the submarine, give me a shout on Twitter at Lookner, at LOOKNER. I also wanted to do a quick check and see if any kind of news broke on this over the last half hour or so. See what I can find here. I hadn't seen this quote. New York Times World says Argentine Navy is accepting all possible or necessary help in search for submarine with 44 crew members. I saw a mention in an article that said it was, I think the New York Times article said it was interesting that Argentina is accepting help from Britain because they had the Falkland Islands conflict back in 1982. I didn't realize over 1,000 military personnel died in that conflict. But they are accepting, and there's still a territorial dispute over the Falkland Islands between Argentina and Britain. But Argentina is accepting British help with this search. Ooh, I don't know. Does this article have anything different in it? So the Independent article speculates that that it may have suffered a malfunction with its communication system. I would think the longer it goes without finding the sub on the surface, then the more you start worrying it wasn't just a communications malfunction. It might have actually sunk or something and it can't get back up. Oh, also for those of you who want more details about the sub, it is a German-built diesel-electric submarine. Nothing has been heard from them since Wednesday, as we said before. Also, a Navy spokesman said there was no indication of problems from the submarine beforehand. So kind of odd that it would just go off, be out of communication. Oh, something else I had read was about the food. An admiral of the base where the submarine was heading to says the submarine has sufficient food and oxygen. Now, I don't know what specifically sufficient means. Does that mean a couple weeks? I don't know exactly what that means. Also, one other part of this story is that initially, I guess the Argentine Navy didn't say this was so bad. Let me see if I can find a quote from that in an article. But I saw reports that said initially they were saying they weren't so concerned about it, and then now they seem a lot more concerned. I mean, they were concerned, but they weren't worried. They weren't expressing that it was a big deal, like a big danger or something. Can I find that? Another little piece of information here from the Guardian article. Argentina has begun preparing for an underwater rescue. So that raises this possibility that could they find the submarine and it's trapped underwater and it can't get to the surface and they have to go for an underwater rescue. So that's a possibility. I still can't find that thing I wanted to find. I'll give it one more second. I swear I read some stuff about how initially they thought it wasn't, they weren't so concerned with the submarine. They thought they were going to find it wasn't going to be that big of a deal to find it, and now they're a lot more concerned because they haven't found it. Oh, here we go. I found it. From the New York Times. A day after playing down the severity of the situation, Argentine officials on Saturday signaled growing concern as they welcomed all international assistance. There you go. And I also found this, as I said before, the waves right now are approximately 6 meters, 20 feet high, which makes it more difficult to conduct the search for the submarine on the surface. Alexander Swirenga made a donation. Thank you so much, Alexander. And he says, best of luck to them. Of course, we agree with you, Alex, and our thoughts are with them. I have thought often that, I mean, often, but I've a number of times thought how terrible it must be to be on a submarine and trapped. I believe, isn't the movie, I saw it, Das Boot, about a World War II submarine that gets sunk and is trapped underwater? I believe that's what it's about. But it's very claustrophobic. Now, I'm guessing the ones are a little less claustrophobic now, but still, imagine, hopefully this hasn't happened, but it's what you really hope didn't happen is that this submarine has sunk and it can't get back up and these people are just trapped down there at the bottom of the ocean. So Das Boot. Well, anyway, so Das Boot sort of gives you a nice idea of how claustrophobic it can be on a submarine. And again, it's a little older, so I'm guessing there's a little more room on the subs now, but obviously a very bad thing if you're on a submarine that gets trapped underwater. Not good. Probably incredibly scary too. So, and another possibility is that it's just, hopefully we hope this didn't happen, but it could have be trapped underwater. Something very catastrophic could have happened to it too. So we don't know that either. But maybe it's just a communications failure and it's on the surface somewhere and they're going to find it. So it's really a mystery right now. So I want to show you one of our viewers, P. Tudsbury, wanted to suggest a passage from the Bible, and I won't read the whole passage. I'll give you where it is. I'll read the beginning of it though. It says, P. Tudsbury wrote me in. Hold on, P. Tudsbury. Actually, I had your link. I wanted to call up your link, not the actual message, because then people could see the link you sent me. All right, P. Tudsbury, you wrote me this. Here we go. So P. Tudsbury recommends Psalm 107, 23 to 31, which begins, "Those who go down to the sea in ships who do business on great waters, they see the works of the Lord and his wonders in the deep." So if you want to read a passage that P. Tudsbury finds relevant to this, you can go to Psalm 107, 23 to 31. Thank you for the suggestion, P. Tudsbury. Oh, and thank you so much. Michael Ross just gave $50. Thank you so much, Michael Ross. That's really nice of you. He says, "Thanks, Mr. Luckner. It's a great hope for me that you are so non-biased with your delivery in this in this new propaganda culture. Our side is the right side." Yeah, we really do here at Right Side Broadcasting just try to not be a place like a lot of other places where they are trying to tell you what to think and force a view on you. And not be open to different views. Our focus here is really just getting you all the information we can get you in the most non-biased, agenda-free way possible so you can decide what to think. That's really what we try to do here. So thank you, Michael Ross. And it's donations like yours that allow us to do that and to be independent and to stay on the air. So much appreciated. Thank you. Modima Rose writes in, "Burr, I couldn't think of a more terrible way to go, although I don't think this is a hopeless situation just yet." Yeah, so, the Argentine Navy certainly doesn't think it's hopeless. They even say that they're preparing for an underwater rescue. So I would think that if the submarine is trapped underwater, the key thing is to locate it soon, because they don't have indefinite resources down there. I'm guessing air might be a concern. I don't know, how much air purifying can go on down there, how much oxygen they have, and whether they have more, how long the food lasts and all that stuff. But if you're going to do an underwater rescue, obviously you need to find the submarine. So hopefully they can find it very soon. But yeah, it's really scary, just if you're trapped down there, it's not good. P. Tudsbury says, "Thank you very much, Steve." You're welcome, P. Tudsbury. Thank you for writing in. So we're going to be on the air a few more minutes here. If you have comments on this missing submarine story, write to me on Twitter at Lookner, at Lookner. Interesting little side, and also subscribe to us on YouTube so you know when we're coming on the air with these videos, which we can come on with at any time. Interesting little detail I noticed about the American Navy plane, I think that's helping now. Here it is. Ooh, it's not here. I read that the U.S. Navy aircraft that was helping had been diverted, I think, from like a mission, like a drug mission somewhere, like in Central America. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, not in there. Let's see. Is it in here? It's sad. I can't find it. I definitely read that the U.S. Plane, one of the planes that the U.S. is sending there, had been diverted, I think, from some kind of drug patrol mission, I believe somewhere like in Central America, and had been diverted down to help with the search for the submarine. And I was thinking to myself, well, it's great that they're doing that, but I hope in the meantime there's not like drug people that would have been caught that can't get caught now. But you can only do so much with so many resources. So it's nice of the U.S. to send the plane down there to help search. Modima Rose says, here's a thought. If there's 20-foot waves, surely they can't stay on the surface? I don't know, Modima Rose. Now, in none of the articles I read did it say that the subs couldn't be on the surface in those kind of waves. I would think they would have said so, but it's an interesting question. I don't know the answer to that. I'm not familiar with the specs of these submarines and that kind of question. So an interesting thought. Sweet Sinner writes in, this breaks my heart. I pray they are found safely and also are praying for their family. Yes, our thoughts and prayers are certainly with the 44 crew members on this ship. And also, speaking of the crew members, where is... I saw that like the families had gathered at one of the bases or something. See, now I can't find it. All these different articles, and I can never remember where it is in which article. Nope. Is it in this one? Can't find it. Sorry. I tried. But... where is it here? Now, the president of Argentina did say his government was in touch with family members of the crew. So that's another thought too, is that the family members, it looks like, now know. Well, they presumably know which ship the crew members are on. So think about that. If one of your family members or your friends is on this ship, and now you're must be unthinkable the worry that you would have right now when you haven't heard from them since Wednesday, when no one's heard from them since Wednesday. JC says, Steve, are they not where the loss of radio contact was? So from my understanding, JC, is they don't know exactly, they know where they last talked to them, and they can kind of just project around where they were because in theory, I'm guessing, you have the last contact and it might have taken some time before they lost contact again. So I don't think it's literally sending out, they're literally sending out signals every 5 seconds, because if they were, you'd think, JC, they could know exactly the place at which they lost contact. So I'm guessing that's not the case. It's a good question. There's an area they think the submarine might be in, and they say that they have now searched 80% of that area. But if they've been searching for a little while, it must be a significant area because they have planes and stuff. If it was just a very small area, they could search that right away. But I'm guessing, there's probably some uncertainty in when contact was exactly lost. Maybe there's uncertainty about how current can carry the boat or what direction the boat was going in. So it's a good question, but it sounds like they have to search a more general area. Let's see here. Oh, I got Pete Tudsbury sent me a tweet with the information about the U.S. Navy plane going to help. Thank you, Pete Tudsbury. I'll check that out right now. It's a yes, U.S. Southern Command. Thank you, Pete Tudsbury. So nice of you. So Pete Tudsbury just sent me this. This was the plane we were talking about. The U.S. Navy P-8A Poseidon was sent to support Argentina's search for submarine. Here we go. The aircraft and its 21-person crew. 21 people on this aircraft. Wow, that's serious. Why can't I do this here? Will depart El Salvador's Air Base, Comalapa Air Base, where it was supporting counter-illicit trafficking maritime patrol operations. So as I said, it was on a drug patrol mission in Central America, but they are sending it to Argentina. It's the Navy's newest maritime patrol and reconnaissance aircraft. Has state-of-the-art sensors. See if I can get a picture of it. What? This looks like the model aircraft that they're sending there. That's a big aircraft with 21-person crew. So that's bigger than I even thought it would be. So that's the one the U.S. Navy is sending there to look. It says it can reach, it has a ceiling of 41,000 feet and a range of 1,200 nautical miles with 4 hours on station, allowing it to loiter over search areas. Thanks, Pete Tudsbury, for sending that in. All right, I'm getting to other messages here. Let's make sure I'm all caught up. Doug Nipels says, I wonder if that Cameron guy would take his personal submarine out there and hunt for them, the one who went to the Marianas Trench. Do you mean James Cameron? The director? I think you're talking about this. So I guess the problem at this point, though, is this is a deep sea diving thing. I think at this point, they're probably just they're trying to just narrow down where generally the submarine is. Like, because if you use this, like, you have to get close enough to the submarine that you can visually see it, I guess. So I would think something like this, like a manned craft, would be sent down if they found the submarine and it was underwater, and then they knew exactly where it was, and then they would send something like this down to get people. Maybe, I'm not sure, or send some of these things down with some other equipment, you know. Doug Nipel says, if I buy your wife a right side T-shirt, will I autograph it? Yeah, well, as long as I don't have to deal with sending it and mailing it and all these things. If you send me the T-shirt and you say autograph it, and then you send me the money to pay for the shipping, then I'd be happy to autograph it. Yes, but keep any kind of logistics on my part to a minimum, please. CNN just tweeted out an update on this story 2 days ago. 2 minutes ago. I apologize. I don't know if there's anything new there, but we can look real quick. See, 2 minutes ago. Submarine missing since Wednesday. Tried to contact naval bases 7 times today. Anything new here? 7 attempted call. Oh, we didn't see these times. I didn't notice. We didn't get this information before. The calls were made on Saturday to different bases between 10:52 a.m. and 3:42 p.m. And we heard it. They range from 4 to 36 seconds. Oops, I got to pause this video. Sorry. So what I didn't know is that they were made between 10:52 a.m. and 3:42 p.m. and they tried to contact different bases. And JC, maybe this is relevant to you. The submarine was last spotted Wednesday in the San Jorge Gulf, a few hundred kilometers off the coast of southern Argentina's Patagonian region, and are nearly midway between the bases. Oh, and the Pope actually said something about this. The Pope offered his fervent prayers for the 44 officers aboard the ARA San Juan. Let me, in the San Jorge Gulf, let me look that up, see if I can get a map for you. There it is. So there's Argentina, and there is around where the submarine was last spotted, or detected, I guess, where they last knew it was. And around that area, I'm guessing, is where they're searching. JC says, I need my autograph embroidered. I'm not using it, losing it after one wash. JC, you are on your own for embroidering. You are free to embroider. Doug Neipel says, yes, James Cameron's ship he was talking about. I guess it would take too long to get the Challenger there. Jay Tyler says, sub might be tied to QAnon. See my postings. Somebody wrote me about QAnon the other day, and I was like, I'm not sure what that is. And I tried to look it up, and there was no simple explanation I got when I looked it up. There were different mentions of it in articles, but there was no simple, here's what QAnon is. So if anybody finds a here's what QAnon is article that's a simple explanation, please let me know. All right. I think in a couple minutes we're going to wrap this up. So if you have comments on this story, please get them in soon. Write to me at Lookner on Twitter, at LOOKNER. Also, you can follow us on Facebook, at Right Side Broadcasting. On Twitter, we are at RSB Network. Thank you again to those who've donated during the stream. We so appreciate that because your donations are what keeps us on the air and lets us do streams like this. You can donate by going to the bottom of the YouTube chat. It's right there. You can just go to the bottom and click on the little dollar sign at the bottom of the YouTube chat. Any amount is welcome. Or go to rsbn.tv/donate, rsbn.tv/donate. And you can even get free stuff like this Right Side mug. Oops, I guess I should make myself bigger. If you by setting up a monthly donation, you can find out about that, how to get free stuff like this Right Side mug in exchange for a monthly donation at rsbn.tv/donate. By the way, I hope this tie is not looking crazy on screen. It has a little bit of, sometimes the ties with lots of lines, they can look all nutty on the screen, but it seems to be okay. I'm trying it out. It seems to have not caused a crazy visual thing. Let's see if there's anything else here I want to show you. Doug Neipel says, just want to say thanks to you and the rest of the crew. Glad to be on the right side. Thank you, Doug. We appreciate it. So I'm not really seeing anything new that we haven't gone over in the recent postings on Twitter, at least, about this submarine. So I think we're about caught up now. So hopefully we'll get some good news soon. Hopefully they will find this submarine either on the surface, or if they find it underwater, they find it soon enough that they can go rescue the people. Really scary that they haven't heard anything since Wednesday from the submarine, but hopefully they can find it and rescue the people. And it's just very odd, it's just at this point a mystery. No one really knows what happened to that submarine. So hopefully they can recover it and everybody will be safe and we can find out about what happened to it. All right, I think at this point we're going to wrap up this stream. Certainly if we hear big news about the submarine, we will come back on and update you with a live stream. So subscribe to us on YouTube, click the notifications bell when you do. Also, you can follow me on Twitter. I'll be posting news about this if I get more news about it, at Lookner on Twitter, at LOOKNER. And what else was I going to say? I can't remember what I was going to say. I thought I had something else to add. But also, very importantly, right side, our thoughts, our prayers are with this crew. We are hoping that they find it as soon as possible, find that submarine, and rescue the crew safely. So our thoughts and prayers are with them. Thank you, everybody who's been watching. Appreciate you watching us. Thanks for everybody who wrote in. Thank you to the donors for donating, being very generous. To the moderators in the chat room, Guinevere and JC, and who else was there tonight? Somebody else was there, I saw. At least earlier. Roger Vega was there. I feel like someone else was there too. Jude was there. And on the website, Common Sense and Gleno, we really thank you guys. Thank you for saying thanks in the chat room. Ross Lambda and Paul Gould. And Light Switch. And Sephirin. And Tikva. And Elysia. And Skylar. And Agent Latte. And who else was saying thanks in the chat room? MAGA President Trump. Mark Skog. Jessica Pearson says the tie looks okay. Okay, thanks, Jessica. I can't wear plaid shirts anymore because they mess up with the camera we use at this point. So maybe one day in the future I can wear my plaid shirts again. Rocky Sanchez, thank you. Skylar, thanks. Suzanne. Thank you, Suzanne, for trying to donate. We appreciate it. GOS, thank you. Linda Brown. JC. And everyone else out there. And JC or one of the moderators will tell you the chat will still go on the 24-hour stream. So if you want to keep chatting, look for the link that the moderators are going to post now, I'm sure. All right, we're going to wrap it up for right now. Thank you for joining us here at Right Side Broadcasting. Hope you have a great rest of your weekend. Again, our thoughts are with this submarine and the crew. Hope they find it really soon and rescue people and rescue the crew, bring them home safely. But for now, this is Steve Lichtner for Right Side Broadcasting. Have a good night, great rest of your weekend, and we'll see you soon.